Good morning, beautiful people. Marie Alessi here. Today, I want to dedicate our meaningful mindset to Parker, a very, very special young boy that I have not yet met in person, but I know quite a bit about him. I've been following his mum. His mum and I are in the same mentoring group, and today is World Down Syndrome Day. And Parker is one of those very special kids, very bubbly, very happy. And I'm actually wearing very colorful socks for him just to honor Down Syndrome Day. I'm just going to show that off here. See my beautiful piano socks. So anybody who feels up for it to support Parker, please wear some colorful socks in honor of him. So I just wanted to put this out there before I go into today's topic, and that is coming home to your heart. So why is this so important? This is so important overall, but in particular here in our group, Loving Love After Loss, because this is from where I operate. And I can promise you, coming home to my heart is nothing that came easy for me, interestingly enough. I remember a very beautiful mentor that I used to work with, me here. God bless his soul. He unfortunately passed away as well shortly after Rob, and I've been working with him for a couple of years. And me here has always worked with me on this whole feeling of coming home to your heart. And I was really surprised at first how much I was struggling with this, how much I was struggling with just sitting in my heart. And I thought, and this is exactly what I'm on about today. I was too much in my head. I thought in my head that this should be something that should come easy to me, and then I stopped shooting on myself and started working with me here, and started working on dropping into my heart space on a regular basis. And the more I did it, the easier it came to me. And I also want to put it out there, when you stop practicing, it becomes more challenging again. So I really want to invite you to put your hands on your heart and really practice that. Like, really close your eyes and imagine dropping yourself in this soft, beautiful, warm light. You can fill it with pink, with green, whatever color you want, but pink and green are the colors of the heart chakra, and it really enhances this exercise of dropping into the heart space and just being there. For me, it was a really important exercise. I recently came across a lady, actually only yesterday, through a common friend of ours, and her husband passed away on Wednesday. She's got twin boys, they are 11, and I only had a very, very brief interaction with her. And I wrote something on her timeline this morning, and I thought, while I was writing it, I actually really want to share that with everyone here today, because it is such an important message. When you when you experience a sudden death of a loved one, and in particular when you have young kids, I can so relate to that, because I was in a very, very similar situation. Rob passed very unexpectedly. There was no pre-warning, and our boys were 10 and 8. So I can relate to a situation like that. And her shouted was, how on earth am I going to deal with that? And my answer was that you have all the answers in your heart already. The answer is summed up in one word. How do we deal with a loss? It is love. And I had this vision of a heart breaking. And when your heart is full of love and your heart is breaking, then all through those little and big cracks, there is love oozing out everywhere, and it forms like little puddles around you everywhere, and you keep stepping into them completely unexpectedly, meaning that you tap into love at the very unexpected times, moments, and situations, with sometimes with people where you don't even expect it from. I was literally surrounded by love when Rob passed, and I had so many people reach out to me. Yet, whenever it came to situations where I had no idea how to deal with it, I literally did this exercise of coming back to my heart. And from my heart, I made all the decisions, the easy ones, the hard ones, the little ones, the big ones. I made my decisions from my heart. And I made a huge effort of not letting my mind get in the way of that, if that makes sense. Because often it is our mind that struggles with coming to terms with things. It is our mind that can either stand in our way or can really support us in our healing journey. So, saying that, I want to put a very important reminder out there. Healing is a choice, and happiness is a choice. And dropping into your heart is just as much as a choice, and it is the beginning and a very essential step of your healing journey. Even when you feel that your heart is breaking, it is still doing nothing else but oozing love. That's what I want to remind you of. So, love will heal you, and love will carry you throughout all of that, the entire journey. Coming into your heart is also something that really balances you. When we are too detached from our own heart and we're too much in our mind, we become detached from who we truly are. This is really working hand in hand with our higher self, with our own highest good and highest interest at heart. So that's why I love this saying so much. If you have somebody's highest interest at heart, you should have your highest interest at heart in the first place, if that makes sense. And when you say have that at heart, it is because your heart is where you need to operate from. When I become too detached, when I become too far ahead of me, like as in I'm thinking too far ahead of me, and I might start worrying, I might start being anxious about something, it is because my mind is too much in the future, but our heart is always here in the now. So when we think too far ahead, when we sit in anxiety, when we sit in fear, we are too detached from our heart, because it's only our mind that takes us there, not our heart. Our heart stays in the present moment, and this is where we need to be. When we go too far into the past and we think back of things that have hurt us or that we are missing, again, we are too detached from our heart. It's again our mind that takes us back, not our heart. Our heart is always in the now, in the present moment. It is our core. Even the Latin word core, cuore, I don't know if I pronounce it Italian or Latin now, but the Italian, the Latin, sorry, background from the heart means core, means center. So everything needs to evolve around that center. And when we detach ourselves from that, when we get too far away, we come off balance. Just feel into that when you do this exercise, and I really encourage you to do that on a daily basis, maybe even in the morning before you even get out of bed. Just close your eyes or keep your eyes closed, put your hands on your heart, and remember to drop into it. Just remember to drop into it and feel that release when you come home to your heart. It feels like a coming home. It feels like a belonging. I often talk about exercises that help you with reconnecting to emotions and recreating emotions and things that you miss the most in your life. So, as a reminder for those of you who are not familiar with that, there is a free healing journey in our group, Loving Love After Loss. You go to the guide section, and the first guide is the journey from grief to relief. And one of the first exercises I ask you to do is separating who you have lost from what you have lost. Because often we feel like with one person that we lose so much, and then we realize when we separate what we have lost from who we have lost, where our empowerment lies, where the choices are that we have, what are the things that I can recreate. And I'm not talking about replacing, I'm talking about recreating things that we need. And one of the emotions that I was truly lacking after Rob passed was that feeling of belonging. I had chosen Australia to be my home before I met Rob. I moved here for good 10 months before I met Rob, because often I get asked, so did you move here for Rob? No, I didn't. I moved here following a very strong calling. I knew that Australia felt like home, and I could never explain why. Yet I still remember the very first time I landed in Australia in October 97. It felt like coming home after decades. It really felt like such a strong sense of belonging, of home. And um, finding Rob, marrying him, creating a family with him really strengthened and enhanced that feeling of belonging. And the more time we spent together, the more that feeling of belonging was attached to Rob. So when Rob passed, I realized that I felt a little bit of a sense of feeling lost, not knowing where I belonged anymore, and questioning whether Australia still felt as much home to me as it did before. I had no intention of going back to Austria. A lot of people ask me that, are you moving back to Austria now? And I said, why would I? I have chosen Australia to be my home even before I met Rob. So, but I did understand where the question came from, because a lot of people knew, being born and raised in Austria and having all my family there, of course, when you lose such an important part of your family, it's just a normal question for a lot of people to ask themselves and ask me whether I would move back. But for me, it was again about coming home to my heart, coming home to my center, and asking myself that question of how can I create and recreate that feeling of belonging. And I did struggle with that for quite some time. And I can't even tell you that exact moment when that feeling came back. But when I check in now, I know that this is where I belong. And that feeling of belonging is made up of so many different components. First of all, I am still in that house that we created together, that we made our home together. I also recreated a lot within my home to make it feel more protective, more like a nest. I know that there was a lot of maintenance work that needed to be done that I did, or got done, I should say, and there was also I remember choosing new colors for our house. I really needed to make a few changes to create something new for me, to create a space that I felt really comfortable in, but to also not change too much, if that makes sense. Again, it was all about balance. And when you come back to your heart, this is where you feel the balance. I can promise you, you will know that you are doing these exercises right and often enough. When you feel balanced in your life, when you completely feel thrown out of center all the time, it is because your mind takes you away too much. Your mind keeps galloping ahead into the future, or keeps trotting back into the past. But I'm using these words of pace deliberately, because in the now is where you're walking at peace, if that makes sense. So put your hand on your heart, feel into it, feel that sense of warmth and ease when you come back home. And when you come back home, when you're sitting in your heart, when you're operating from your center, from your core, this is where you feel the strongest. This is where you feel the most balanced. And this is where you feel the most supported. I truly hope this was helpful for you. If this is helpful for you, I really encourage you to invite people to join our group, or to share the link with others. And I'm always mentioning that this link is not shareable directly from the group. Hence, I always get my videos uploaded to YouTube, and I post the link underneath in the comments, so you can take the YouTube link and also share it outside of the group if this is something that you feel drawn to. I am sending you so much love directly from my heart to yours. This is Maria Leslie signing off. Bye for now. Oh, and happy Harmony Day. Perfect day for a message like that. Bye for now.